In this video, we're going to look at Simon Bolivar and Toussaint Louverture and their attempts to gain independence for Haiti and countries in South America. But before I do that, let's take and I'm reviewing this in class, but again, this is worth reviewing again, looking at most of these people, the revolutionaries in the Latin American countries, were very inspired by the French and American revolutions, and B, they were not peninsulares. They were not at the top of the food chain of the of Latin American society. They were Creoles, as Bolivar was, or mestizos, mulattoes, people born of Native American European descent or born of African and European descent. So to look at the details, and this is in your slides. So at this point, I guess, pull out your slides and make sure that your notes are at least close to what they need to be here. So then let's look at Toussaint Louverture first. Again, he was a slave, bottom of the food chain, if you will. He was here, at the very bottom, growing up a slave, and he grew up on a plantation, learned how to read and write, read the Enlightenment works that we've talked about extensively, and was inspired to rebel, making Haiti a nation. So sometimes he's called Black Napoleon because he supports the ideas of the French Revolution. How did he do this? Rose up, lead a slave rebellion against the leaders in Haiti. He would raise an army that would defeat both France and Great Britain. So to end, what did he accomplish? Ending the slavery and in Haiti and bringing independence to Haiti. They were the first Western nation to outlaw slavery. So one of the effects of this was that Napoleon was, because of his losses, they were discontented. So he sold the Louisiana lands in the United States to the United States. If you remember that from your 8th grade U.S. history, the Louisiana Purchase. At the same time, you had this guy, Simon Bolivar, otherwise known as the Liberator. So your chart asked you to do some cause of effect events. Incidentally, don't forget in your slide to put the picture of find the picture of Toussaint Louverture. So Bolivar was a Creole, right below the peninsulars, but so he could not maintain or attain the highest offices in society. So his cause to join the independence movement in South America was that, but also was the fact that he was inspired by the French and American revolutions, just like Toussaint Louverture. So if you had that there, that would be fine as well. The fact moving the Spanish viceroy. I remember if a couple units ago we were talking about exploration. If you remember when you looked at exploration, the viceroys are basically the governors that are the peninsulares, the governors that the country sends over. So we're a little bit earlier here in the time of the French Revolution. So the Spanish viceroy is removed from power, and the ultimate effect, and he goes on to lead independence in South America. So you might have a little more detail than that from the text, but so the short and effective of him joining the independence movement is ultimately there's an independence movement led by him in South America. In about 1810, a group of rebels in Venezuela removed the viceroy or governor from office and took control of the colony. This was the cause of Venezuela declaring its independence from Spain. The effect is the Spanish fought back, and Bolivar led an army that was forced to flee the country. So he was forced into exile in Haiti, is I believe what the text would have told you. He comes back. Bolivar leads a surprise attack in 1918, with the cause of that receiving help where he was at in Haiti from the newly independent Haiti, and begins to build the foundation for a victory. His army, in the effect side, was strong enough to defeat the Spanish, and Venezuela was another country that gained its formal independence in 1819. and again, the formal independence, there back to cause and effect, his army was strong enough. So, but Venezuela wins formal independence. Peru and Upper Peru, Bolivia, as it would be called during that time, won their independence as well soon after. Bolivar wanted to unite them all, but not everyone agreed. He wanted to unite them all as one country under Bolivia. So that as the effect of that then is that the Civil War breaks out in 1826, and he hoped that these nations would unite and thus become stronger. But others did not share that vision. So he wanted his goal, his goal was to, after Peru and Upper Peru winning independence, was to unite these nations under one umbrella. But they didn't. They were resistant to that. So civil war breaks out in Peru and Upper Peru, what we call Bolivia. Bolivar declares himself the military dictator. So opponents attack his palace, try to assassinate him. So the liberator, ironically, is now seen as an enemy of the state. So that ends up. So again, you end up kind of making a full circle here. While some of these countries, Peru and Bolivia, gain independence, they also have fights over the nature of their rule, which we've seen numerous times in other countries.